Catholic whipping scene, and most gorgeous gams on a broad. The highlight of the night occurred when Wings won the award for Best Picture without a single Dago, Tar Baby, or Wetback. And on May 15th, 1940, the first McDonald's opened in San Bernardino, California, back when a young Grimace was just working as a cashier. And that was what happened this week in history. As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, history is actually pretty racist.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it is Free Talk Live. The number, should you wish to join us and bring up anything that you want to talk about, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And in the studio here tonight, you've got Ian,
Bonnie,
and Chris.
Welcome to the program here. Nobody's got the night off, so Bonnie, you're sitting in for him, so thanks for that.
Is this a new thing, or?
No, he asked for the night off.
Oh, okay.
He's going on a date.
Oh.
So,
I didn't know if we could say.
He didn't say we couldn't say. So. Good for him. So you can bring up anything that you want here, of course. Chris, you saw something in the news that you wanted to talk about with the latest on John McAfee, the eccentric software magnate who has been traveling around the world in his boat trying to avoid the American government's iron fist, and unfortunately the Spanish government snatched him up like most of a year ago, I think it was, and they've been holding him ever since for an extradition hearing, and that was based on IRS-related charges for, not filing taxes, among, I think, some other charge, if I recall correctly.
I didn't quite understand where he would be obligated to pay taxes in Spain.
Oh, no. He's, he was from the United States.
Right. That's why I was not quite sure where his tax obligations were.
I don't think he was in Spain except for
he was just arrested in Spain?
Yeah.
Oh,
they arrested him there.
And then extradition
at the behest of the United States,
presumably. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes more sense.
So he's been in a prison in Spain waiting extradition hearings.
It's been a long time since he was arrested, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's been more than a year, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's been less than a year, but it definitely happened within the last year or so.
So this is just about the taxes. This isn't the murder.
No, the murder was years ago. That was like Bailey's.
Oh.
The accusation. There's nothing proven.
He was never convicted or anything.
I wasn't charged, as far as I know.
He wasn't even charged?
I don't even know if he was charged.
Yeah, he's an interesting character, John McAfee, and he really is a character. I don't know if you guys follow him at all. I do. I follow him on social media. He's got a Twitter that's very active.
Don't follow him, but I certainly have followed the news about him.
Yeah, I followed him on Facebook in 2016. I liked him back then.
Even he's still been posting from inside prisons.
He's entertaining, to say the least.
He's super entertaining. And I will pull up his profile just so we can share. I can share with you some of the things he writes, because his prison posts are really entertaining. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But what's in the news about John McAfee? Remember, this is the guy who said he would. Well, I'm not going to say what he would eat, but he would eat one of his own body parts on the air. Like on television, if Bitcoin didn't hit $500,000 by the end of, I think, 2020.
Oh my God!
He also tried to run for president too after being like
more than once.
Yeah, after the murder thing happened, it was like, and he's open about drug use and like some pretty hard stuff too. So
yeah, very open about that.
Yeah. It's like, how do you think you're going to get elected? And it's like I'm half rooting for you, but at the same time, I know you're a liar, and I know you're not really a libertarian.
That's the problem with him, right? It's like he's this really interesting guy, but at the same time, all you got to do is pay him $100,000 and he'll pimp your coin for you. And he doesn't care anything about what the coin is, whether it's a scam or whatever. As long as you pay him $100,000, he'll tweet about it.
I still would have taken him over Gary Johnson in 2016.
Oh, as far as presidential candidates, absolutely.
I mean, he couldn't have been any worse than Trump or Biden, right?
John McAfee would have been super entertaining. I mean, if they could have gotten John McAfee into a debate,
definitely.
I mean, that would have been amazing. But unfortunately, the Libertarian Party is...
I could just see Trump and McAfee debating.
That would have been amazing.
That would have been. I mean, talk about entertaining. The two of them are just, yeah.
I think the Vermin Supreme is like the more libertarian version of John McAfee.
Yeah, and I really liked Vermin Supreme in the last in the 2020 election. I thought that he was really putting the effort in and being he was very libertarian. I think a lot of people thought he wasn't really that libertarian.
Well, I mean, he plays a part, so it's you know, if it's I understand that it's kind of hard to get your head around what he's doing, but.
And he's doing an amazing job.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
he's still out there. Of course, both of these guys are still out there. So what's the news with John McAfee?
Yeah, story is antivirus software pioneer McAfee charged by U.S. with cryptocurrency fraud. So John McAfee, the antivirus software pioneer whose former company still bears his name, has been indicted,
which he's not involved with,
right, on fraud, and I'm sure the company is not too happy about all of the news as in recent years, because he kind of went away for 20-something years and then kind of popped out of the blue and started like being a social pariah. And I don't know that he wasn't before, but he wasn't in the news, so. Has been indicted on fraud and money laundering conspiracy charges stemming from 2 cryptocurrency schemes. It's an interesting choice of words, scheme. The U.S. Justice Department said on Friday. Authorities accused McAfee and his bodyguard, Jimmy Gale Watson Jr. And I never understood this. Like, what does his bodyguard have to do with any of it?
I don't know. His bodyguard is there with him all the time.
You know what's interesting about this guy is that he is, but it's interesting because like it seems like there's a lot of stories, and every time McAfee's mentioned something about his bodyguard, is there something more to this bodyguard than
he must have more than one, because the guy we met was named John as well. So his bodyguard was also John.
You met one of his bodyguards?
Yeah, we met John McAfee several years ago. Actually, he's been on Free Talk Live, I think, twice. I'm pretty sure we had him on from Anarchapulco and another crypto conference. I don't know if it was the Texas Bitcoin conference or where it was, but we've been to several of these crypto conferences over the years, and so maybe it was D10E out in California. Anyway, yeah, we've definitely interviewed him, and he always has this bodyguard with him. And I actually interviewed his bodyguard once just because I thought he was really interesting. The life of the bodyguard of John McAfee is also an interesting life.
I can only imagine.
But the guy you mentioned, it doesn't ring a bell, the name you mentioned as far as his bodyguard.
Yeah, Jimmy Gale Watson Jr.
Yeah, the guy that was his bodyguard was actually about as old as John. Like he was also in his like early 70s or late 60s at the time. But he was in good shape for, an older man, and dude knew his stuff. Like it was interesting.
So he's basically being accused of exploiting his Twitter followers.
Oh, so it was what I was talking about, where you pay him $100,000 and he just pimps your
the accusation. Crypto? Yep, exactly. The accusation is basically he's artificially inflating the price of altcoins through so-called pump and dump scheme. And
how is that illegal?
He's just endorsing them with his words. It's freedom of speech.
I certainly agree with what you guys are saying.
It's not insider trading, right?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would think that's what they're basically accusing him of, but you're right. It's not a company, so
yeah.
But I guess the same thing applies to securities, and they're considering it a security. Therefore, same thing.
That's the thing.
I don't know. I don't know the law in this area at all. So. Well, this is what he's being accused of. Let's see. Concealing payments from let's see here. And concealing payments McAfee received from startup businesses to promote initial coin. So I guess he's being. Maybe it would have been okay for him to. So okay, maybe I kind of follow it. So basically, and you actually probably are more familiar with the law on this. So the issue sounds like if he had said that he was being paid to promote it, it wouldn't have been a problem. But because he didn't say that he was being paid to promote it, it was a problem. So it's like, it sounds more like I'm trying to think what that sounds more like.
The dude advertises on his Twitter that you can pay him $100,000 and he'll pimp your crypto for you. How is that any different than us talking about Dash or Bitcoin Cash or whatever here on Free Talk Live? I mean, we're a commercial radio show.
Right.
Well, That's what they do to Kim Kardashian. Like, if she has an endorsement from some company like teas that are supposed to make you skinny or something, and she talks about them on her Instagram, she legally has to put that this is an ad or like hashtag ad.
That is the case for at least the UK, I know, but I don't know about the United States. The United States is more, lenient in that regard.
Well, Kim lives in California. So.
603-283-6160 is the number here if you want to join us. 603-283-6160. Well, there's cover your ass, and then there's what you have to do at the bare minimum legally. There's more coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live. Not sure what's going on with the music there. 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. You can bring up anything you want here. There is something definitely going on. There we go. That solved it. Sorry about that. Welcome to the program. With you tonight, it's Ian.
Bonnie.
And Chris.
We're talking about John McAfee, the software tycoon, the enigmatic tycoon, John McAfee. You might have heard of him. He's a pretty interesting character. He's lived a pretty wild lifestyle. And apparently the federal government now charging him with more crimes, alleged crimes. They also went after him for tax evasion last year. They're still trying to get him extradited from Spain to face those charges.
You have to really wonder, like, what are they expecting to get out of the guy? He's 75 years old,
yeah.
Right? Like,
he's expecting to die just waiting for trial at this point.
Right. I mean, it's crazy.
But that's just how vindictive and how evil the federal government is. They're going after an elderly man, and they want to put him away for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Because even on a light sentence for all the charges he's facing, it would be likely several years behind bars.
Yeah,
and he's 75.
I wonder if he's released on bail.
No. He is inside a
Spanish
prison right now. In fact, he's tweeting. Actually, it's been a couple weeks, which is unusual for him. Normally, he's tweeting at least once every couple days or once a day. Let me share a couple of his recent tweets for you. They're pretty entertaining. Says, a man, this is his most recent one, February 18th, posted, a man in the prison yard talks to himself a lot. He said he was talking to aliens. They told him the beginning of the end would start March 3rd. Nonsense. It began years ago when we turned technology against ourselves. Though I marked my calendar just in case.
Well, March 3rd, wasn't that supposed to be the day that Trump was...
No, that was March 4th. That was supposed to be yesterday. By the way, did Trump take office yesterday? Did anybody hear that?
No.
No, I didn't hear that either. He goes on, and some of them are kind of introspective and a little deep, like this one.
Well, now it's a secret thing, right? Like he's secretly
running the
country.
secretly
running the country.
I haven't heard that, but it wouldn't surprise me if they made that claim.
Well, I'm assuming that's what they're saying, probably.
Right, because they have to have an excuse.
Right? Yeah.
They have to have an excuse, for the cult members as to why the dear leader didn't regain his seat of power. So here's another one from John McAfee. He says, my life's conflict stemmed from one source. My best friend and my worst enemy were both myself. Another post. I have a new cellmate. In 3 days, using boxes, string, and toothpaste for glue, he's built bookcases, holders, and a host of other things. If we turned this effer loose in a hardware store, I think we'd have a teleporter in short order. He says, I don't mind being locked up as much as the company I'm locked up with. For example, a young friend I met is here for cutting his father's throat, but he doesn't remember it. I can only hope he doesn't remember to cut mine for some reason. So some of them are funny. Some of them are, reflective and sad, just sort of looking back at his life. And some of them he talks about the government. He says, our government has become complex and extravagant. It has become distinct from and independent of the people. Our democracy has become a struggle of ideals rather than actualities. None of us truly understand where our votes will lead. He says, for most of my life, I sought permanency in relationship, security, happiness, contentment, yet reality in all cases eventually brought disappointment. From relationship to relationship, situation to situation, I discovered that the only permanent thing in life is change. So...
Is he not doing good with his wife? That's sad.
No. I think he's doing okay with her, the current wife. She's, I believe, the one who's actually posting these things to Twitter on his behalf. But I could be wrong about that. Anyway, those are some excerpts for you from. I mean, it's been going on for months now. So if you want to read John McAfee's, essentially his prison tweets, they're pretty interesting. So, Chris, you were telling us he's being charged with securities fraud for using his Twitter account.
Yeah.
And go ahead if you got more.
Manhattan U.S. Attorney Audrey Strauss said in a statement, as alleged, McAfee and Watson exploited a widely used social media platform and enthusiasm among investors in the emerging cryptocurrency market to make millions through lies and deception. Yeah, that's probably a fair statement to some degree. Lawyers for McAfee could not immediately be identified. McAfee is being detained in Spain following his arrest there on tax evasion charges. Around or announced in October. So okay,
it's October? God, it seems like longer than that.
It does, doesn't it? Watson said Watson was arrested on Thursday night in Texas. The department had. So that's the.
So they got his bodyguard.
Yeah, they got the bodyguard apparently. Watson's attorney, and I bet you the bodyguard gets out sooner than McAfee because they arrested him in the United States, and there won't be any extradition to deal with. And I wonder if he even gets released on bail, whereas McAfee has to sit in a prison cell because
that's a good question.
He's a flight risk.
Did it say the charges for the bodyguard? Because that's weird.
Sounded similar.
I think it sounds like they're the same.
They said they worked as like a team or whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting because you think, like, what did he do? What did the bodyguard do? Like, you know, it's
maybe
like
he's got a big following. I don't know.
Does he?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But like, you would think that it would be the person who tweeted, not their bodyguard.
What's his bodyguard's name?
I mean, did the bodyguard do his support or something? Was his bodyguard like typing because McAfee doesn't know how to use a computer? I mean, I don't even.
It could be.
Like, well, that's crazy because he wrote the didn't he write this McAfee antivirus software originally?
The bodyguard?
No, McAfee. Like, it would be funny if the bodyguard had to type in the computer for McAfee because he didn't know how to get to his computer because I don't know, like he hasn't used a computer in the last 25 years or something.
He's getting old.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems so weird. Watson's attorney, Arnold Spencer, said in a statement, Jimmy Watson is a decorated veteran and former Navy SEAL.
They would never tell a lie.
I know, right? He fought for now, mind you, you're talking about I presume at some point he murdered somebody. So like you're literally talking about a murderer here.
Well, no, there's no evidence of that, right?
I mean, no, but he's coming out as a Navy, and usually, you know, you're being paid to kill people.
Oh, you're saying as a military?
Yeah, yeah.
You thought he meant in Belize?
Yeah. No. I'm not talking about McAfee. We're talking about his
bodyguard.
His attorney statement. Well, the attorney said for the bodyguard. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So the bodyguard is the former Navy SEAL. He fought for other people's rights and liberties, and he is entitled. See, I would disagree with that, but
yeah, he just wanted a Dodge Charger.
Yeah, I mean,
just propaganda.
Yeah, it's money. He's working for money. Let's be honest. And he is entitled to and looks forward to his day in court to exercise some of those very rights.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Both also face civil charges by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, which in October accused McAfee of concealing more than $23 million he made from boosting 7 cryptocurrencies offerings on Twitter. In the cryptocurrency cases, authorities said McAfee touted assets including Verge, Redcoin, and Dogecoin as part of Dogecoin, yeah, as part of a coin of the day or coin of the week tweet from around December 2017 through February 2018. I mean, doesn't that sound familiar? Isn't that what every one of the exchanges basically do? You're paying them to be on the exchange.
Yeah, that's right.
So how does this differ from?
If it does go to court, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, super interesting.
If they manage to get McAfee out of a prison cell in the next 5 years and he's still alive, prison is not the best place for an elderly gentleman.
No,
right?
Definitely not.
I mean, it's not the best place for anybody, but if you're a little bit more frail, it's even worse. The number here is 603-283-6160. If you want to weigh in on John McAfee facing extra charges, feel free.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. If you want to join us here. Were you a follower of John McAfee and you actually did what he told you, what he suggested that you do?
No.
If you were and you want to call in, you're welcome to join us here, 603-283-6160, or maybe you're a critic of McAfee. This is an interesting character. I mean, he's a fascinating guy. We've interviewed him here on Free Talk Live, and he's always entertaining. Now, whether or not he's being honest with you is a whole other question.
I mean, the crazy thing about this is, like, every single one of these people who invested probably have already been aware of the fact that they were lying to him, but they knew that his advocating for it was going to result in the increase in the value of it, and therefore they bought in, which increased the value of it, and then they
sold.
Yeah, and then they sold. And it's like, yeah, some of those people got out at the wrong time. But you know what? They gambled. That's what it was. They were literally gambling with it, right? So how can you really blame that on John McAfee?
Well, I don't blame John McAfee as far as I feel like saying whatever he wants to say should be legal. I mean, to say that it should be illegal to engage in a pump and dump scheme, I disagree with that. I think that freedom of speech is pretty clear, and I don't think there should be exceptions to it. Now, if you want to say, oh, well, what about threatening somebody? Okay. I mean, I could kind of understand that one.
I think that's more of a liability, sort of a liability thing. Like if somebody threatens you and they're in front of you and they look like they're going to kill you, then
you have a right to defend
yourself. And the liability is effectively you could die because somebody defends themselves against you.
Correct.
But
I think that solves itself.
Right.
That problem solves itself. But as far as saying anything else, let them
there is
say
bribing, like bribing and blackmailing from like another place. Like if they're not in the same room as you could do
Should
it
blackmail
online.
be illegal?
I don't know.
I don't think it should.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that I think is like there's a very kind of there's a line that's like what's how I kind of feel about this is it's like if it's on the internet, I don't care. And it's like it's there's some responsibility, like being an adult or just growing up to some degree, you got to learn these things, and if you don't, it's I don't know. I mean, it's like it's one of these things. It's just like you can't control. Like there's only so much the government can do, to protect you, right? If you go and you do stupid things, okay, you got to take responsibility for yourself.
Yeah, that's just
right?
it.
Like,
I mean, a blackmailer is just somebody who's come across information about something you did, usually, that you don't want people to know about because you did something you're embarrassed about or whatever, right? Like there's some sort of black mark on your past.
Not
and the
always.
blackmailer...
Sometimes it's more of a societal thing which you never had any control over in the first place, but sure.
Well, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But generally, the blackmailer comes across information and is willing to deal that information and or withhold from dealing that information in return for a payment. I mean, that just seems... It's a scummy thing to do.
Absolutely.
But I don't think that everything that's scummy should be illegal.
Right.
Well, I don't really think that there should be like a government that has laws, so I guess I wouldn't say it should be illegal, but I definitely think it's totally immoral.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with thinking something is immoral, but it shouldn't be illegal, right? Like there's lots of things I think are immoral, but I don't necessarily think that it should be a crime to do those immoral things.
Exactly. And let the market decide. Let individuals decide how to handle these situations. You've got more from the story.
I do a little bit.
Actually, so we're talking about John McAfee being charged with so-called securities fraud for using his Twitter account to promote cryptocurrencies and then sell them.
Right, and we were trying to figure out earlier in the last part of the show how it becomes securities fraud. Well, it turns out apparently he is the CEO behind a company that trades cryptocurrency, basically. Publicly traded cryptocurrency company is how it's described. So
really? Does it say which?
I'll read the whole little section here and
Okay.
you'll see. Authorities said McAfee held himself up as an expert on cybersecurity and cryptocurrency through his tweets, speeches, and his role as a CEO of a publicly traded cryptocurrency company.
Right.
I don't know what the company is. They
I don't either.
also accused him of telling followers he had no stake in the coins, even as he touted how they will change the world. So it doesn't say. But some sort of cryptocurrency company. I bet you if you search John McAfee cryptocurrency company, it will come up though in a search. I'm not at a computer here, so it's a little bit harder for me to find that, but maybe you can, Ian.
I'm confused. It's worse that he was advertising these things because he makes himself look like a professional, but isn't that still on the other people's? It's still the other people's fault. Yeah,
to know who they're talking to.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're making an investment, right? Like of all things, this is definitely, I think, a buyer beware situation. It's like, I mean, I can understand if somebody is like coming to your door and somehow manages to deceive you or defraud you. I'm like, okay, that's, maybe that's not all on you, but like when you're investing in something, you're literally going out of the way to take risks, and thus you have more responsibility, to make sure that you're not doing something stupid. And just to protect yourself. And maybe that means, seeking professional advice. Maybe that means, doing research into, I don't know, the people that you're going to be doing business with, or, the company, that they're selling your product or service, or, in this case, cryptocurrency, maybe.
According to the Wikipedia on John McAfee, his most recent business venture, at least as listed here, was in August of 2018. He took a position as CEO with LuxCore, a cryptocurrency company focused on enterprise solutions, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, I wonder, here's the thing. He probably was at most a figurehead / advisor in any practical sense.
Yeah.
I suspect he had no real involvement in the company.
Could be. It sounds like the kind of deal he would want.
Yeah, and knowing his publicity, I mean, this is effectively what he's selling. He's selling his fame.
His name.
Yeah, his name.
Yeah.
So it's hard to believe what the government is effectively saying about him.
Well, now wait a minute. What part is hard to believe?
That he used his position, his position as CEO. I mean, we didn't even know he was a CEO of a company, right? Like,
that's not what people were trading on. I mean, they were trading on his fame.
Right,
they
absolutely.
were trading on him being a CEO.
But the government in the story alluded to that this is one of the this is something he was trading on
to make himself look more legit.
Right, but it seems at least seems a bit fabricated or unreal.
So that I would say just put that whole thing aside. Yep. What they're looking at here, and according to the indictment, obviously an indictment is one-sided. It's the federal government's position on what allegedly happened in a situation.
It's always full of lies. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, but some of it's provable, right? Like some of the things they're going to
presumably there's elements
here,
of it.
There's going to be some evidence, like including his tweets, which are probably still there if you want to go back and look at them.
I mean, can you connect those tweets to him? I don't know. But
well, everybody knows that it's his account. I mean,
his account doesn't necessarily mean he's the one who tweeted.
True, and maybe that'll be an argument that he tries to make.
There's lots of, and here's the thing: a lot of people may not know, but there even people who are not. How do I say this? Big and famous as McAfee have other people who tweet on their behalf.
That's true.
They're, companies hire people, small companies hire third parties to tweet on their behalf or the behalf of executives and things all the time.
No doubt, and that may be one of his arguments. I remember a couple of years ago, I don't know if you were on that episode of Aria's show at the time, but she had a conversation, quote unquote conversation with John McAfee, who messaged her in the middle of the night one night to pitch some sort of coin to her or something like that.
Yeah, and it was like a weird verified Twitter account or something too, I think.
It was his Facebook account, but the way he was acting didn't make it seem like it was actually John McAfee. So she believed that John McAfee had some, kid or whatever, somebody who was hired to tweet on his behalf doing that. So that may be one of the arguments that he ends up making is like, well, prove this was me.
Yeah.
Prove this was my account. But that said, given, that presuming that it is his account.
Yeah.
And I think there's a good chance that he is actually behind that Twitter account.
I wouldn't doubt that he has his name on that Twitter account, but whether or not, he made every one of those posts, I'd be highly doubtful that he did.
Maybe. Well, I guarantee you he was getting money. If there was somebody else making the post, McAfee was telling him to post. McAfee was the one being paid and then paying some kid to post on his
Again,
on his
the question is, to what degree did he have control over the person posting? Was it more of a general thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
This type of content, or was it
let's get
very
into
specific?
what actually allegedly happened here, which, if you've followed McAfee for any short period of time, you're not going to find this unbelievable. So I'll tell you what they've got. 603-283-6160. We'll get into the details of the story. It's pretty interesting. Coming up.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. The number, if you want to join us, 603-283-6160. Free Talk Live is brought to you by Bitcoin.com.
Oh, watch it, yeah, and you might get charged with the security fraud here.
In case it wasn't clear that they're an advertiser of ours. Now, in the case of Bitcoin.com, they're a long-time advertiser, and they've been one of our longest-running, maybe the longest-running sponsor here on Free Talk Live. So thank you to Bitcoin.com. It's a place where you can go to learn about cryptocurrency, and they'll tell you about Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash there. You get the basics on those, and you can click Get Started to do that at the top of the page over at Bitcoin.com. If you're not new to crypto, then you probably want to see their news headlines. Get over to news.bitcoin.com. They got them there every single day, and they're fresh over at news.bitcoin.com. So, John McAfee being charged now with more alleged crimes. Again, I don't think John's actually been charged with a real crime here. He has not been charged with actually harming another human being. He's not been charged with murder or rape or, arson or property destruction or anything like that. He was charged with not paying taxes. Well, I consider that to be heroic.
Definitely not. That's not only not a crime. That's somebody to be looking up to as an example, as a leader in, peaceful resistance.
Exactly. And now what he's being charged with, securities so-called fraud, I don't think these crimes should exist. Quote-unquote crimes. Again, a no victim, no crime. If you go online and you read somebody's Twitter and that person says, buy Dogecoin, and you buy Dogecoin and then the price of Dogecoin goes down, you don't get to blame the person on Twitter.
Yeah, but he's such a professional.
Well, that's the thing.
Give me a break.
It's easy for people to accept the advice of a so-called expert. But when you do that, you're still choosing to accept the expert's advice.
And the thing is, you have to remember, these people weren't paying him for, so-called expert advice either.
Well, that's true.
Like, I could understand that there was some obligation, if McAfee was being paid by these individuals, but that wasn't what was going on here.
That's true. He was just posting to a Twitter account. And so let me get into the allegations here of the case. I've got pulled up the indictment. It's a 20-page long indictment. He's facing, let's see, what counts is he facing here? I don't even know if it says yet. We'll get to that. So he's facing probably more than one count would be my guess. The parties involved here include the Commodities Futures Trading Commission and John David McAfee and his associate Jimmy Gale Watson, apparently his bodyguard. They're saying that McAfee on his Twitter touted his recommendations as deeply researched, selected without bias from the vast majority of inferior digital assets and long-term values to investors. He stated that he had no position in the coins he recommended or endorsed. And that's where things get a little sticky here, because if indeed it was John McAfee making these posts to the John McAfee, I think it's called official John McAfee account on Twitter, if it was indeed John McAfee posting these things or allowing or knowledgeably, knowing that these things were being posted in his name, and he was in fact telling a lie, when in point of fact he did have holdings in the cryptos in question, then what he's doing is he is committing fraud, no doubt about it. He is being, a very dishonest individual, but then again, that's what you should expect from John McAfee.
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of these things that's like, I mean, this guy is a known liar. I mean, like this is kind of like what he does. And everybody knows it. And it's not like
apparently everybody doesn't know it. Now, it's not fair to say that everybody knows John McAfee's a liar.
You can try and suggest, you can try and go into a courtroom and get people who have never heard of John McAfee, and you can convince them, that he was committing fraud or whatever. But it's like, it's such a stretch given all the surrounding circumstances for anybody who follows cryptocurrency.
Well, if you know John McAfee, or you paid enough attention to his words, and there's what a person says, and then there's their actions, right? And if you paid attention to John McAfee's actions compared to his words, he almost never matches up. He's always got some sort of project that he's working on.
Even if you don't follow him, you know this. That's the crazy thing. I know it. I don't follow him. I've never listened to his, subscribe to his Twitter feed or whatever it is.
Guy. I mean, you're in the tech field. If you're somebody
I glanced at a few headlines. Come on.
Okay. In 2016, I always was waiting for his cell phone to come out.
Was it like a privacy cell phone or something?
Yeah, I didn't really care about that. I was just like, oh, that's cool. If it's John McAfee's, then I'll get that for my next phone. And no, he never made it.
No.
And here's the other thing. Who is trading cryptocurrency? It's the tech people.
Yes, it is.
So I have a hard time buying into this, prosecutors argument here.
Well, for example, they say on or around December 15th, with respect to an endorsed digital asset, McAfee, by public tweet on his @official McAfee account, denied owning any of the digital asset he had endorsed and further disclaimed having any ulterior motive. Similarly, on or around December 20th, McAfee issued a tweet through that account indicating that, quote, most of the 2,000 coins are trash or scams. I've read every white paper. Obvious lie.
Yeah,
I mean no
you
way.
have to wonder, is this, this guy is such a liar that it's like, I don't know if trolling or there's a word for it. It's I'm lacking it at the moment, but sarcasm. He's not sarcastic.
Sarcasm.
But he's definitely
satire?
doing satire. That might be the right word. Satire.
It's a satire of himself, basically. Is that what
I mean, but doesn't it come off to you as kind of like satire?
No. It comes off as this big mouth liar on the internet, and it's amazing.
But he does it so frequently, and everybody knows it. So how can that not be like satire?
He's like the successful version of JP. I mean, there's this guy locally who is a known liar,
right?
And he's a great activist, right? Like JP is a great cop block activist. He will go out and he will block the police like no other. But you can't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. And John McAfee's exactly the same way. He's just really successful.
He's like the libertarian Kanye.
Except I think with McAfee, the difference, though, I think, between JP and McAfee is I don't think JP knows he's telling lies. I think he's just like a pathological liar. McAfee, he might be lying to deceive. Now, let me continue with this statement. So after saying he's read every white paper.
I mean, come on, there's thousands of white papers. How could he possibly anybody believe this?
It's unbelievable on its face.
It's so ridiculous. It cannot possibly be what they're accusing him of.
The few I'm connected to, I will tell.
This is like reading The Onion and believing what The Onion says.
Let me keep going with this statement. So after claiming he's read every white paper, he goes on to say, the few I'm connected to, I will tell you. The rest I have no position in. These coins will change the world. You can support that change. In an interview on or around December 22nd of 2017, he reaffirmed his purported lack of bias, saying, quote, if I say this is a great coin and nothing else, I promise you I don't own any of it. Well, why would he think? I mean, if McAfee says it's a great coin and he really believed what he was saying, he should own it.
Right? Like, this is
the best coin.
This is the problem with the accusation that he was committing some sort of fraud or whatever. Like, he's doing the exact opposite. He's saying one thing and then doing something else. It's like, it doesn't add up. Like, anybody should be able to see this. Even a really dumb person should be able to see right through this.
I don't know, man. You're giving people too much credit here. He is a purported expert. He is a technological wizard, right? Like, he's a pretty smart guy, right? Like, he comes off as knowing his stuff when it comes to security, when it comes to cryptocurrency. He comes off as an expert. Now,
I don't think he comes off as an expert within the area and within the following of people that he has. I don't think the people who are following him actually believe that he's an expert in anything that he's spewing.
Well, I guarantee you they'll find somebody to testify.
I'm sure, because they're not going to get a bunch of the word I can't use now. On a jury. I'm sure they're going to be able to get a bunch of non-technical people on a jury to convict. But that's not the people who are following him on Twitter.
Wait, so did Arya buy any of the coin when he was texting her?
Of course not.
Arya knew that it wasn't even John McAfee who was texting her.
Well, now she could have cashed in on the lawsuit. I mean,
well, I don't know how you would cash in. How would you cash in on a lawsuit?
I don't know.
It's not a lawsuit. It's a criminal.
Yeah, he's criminal
case.
Oh, I thought it was like, I don't know, the people are going to get money for getting scammed.
Who got scammed?
No, there's no victims. I see what you're saying. You think it's going to be like a class action?
Yeah, that's the word I was like.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen here. If anybody gets any money, it'll be the federal government, because they're going to try to extract fines from him.
I don't think Arya would take that anyway.
Well, I mean, hey, if the federal government, if somebody wants to send you money, then take the money, I guess. But in a court hearing, if you're in a case with a class action, I don't get involved usually if they send me something, because it's usually like 50 cents. It's like, why would I even want to deal with this? But Matt, my roommate, he got a $10,000 class action settlement once.
Did he actually get the money?
Yeah.
That amount?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
What on
He worked
earth
for
could he
Applebee's, and
possibly
there was a situation with some of the employees and paychecks.
Labor.
And,
yeah.
So sometimes go ahead and take it. Why not? So 603-283-6160. I want to go on with more of his alleged quotes here. Just because he's so entertaining. It's such, like you said, it seems obviously false, but he still shouldn't be doing that. He shouldn't be doing what he was alleged to be doing.
If people believe him, he's contradicting himself. How could you possibly do what he tells you when he's contradicting himself?
It's immoral, but it shouldn't be illegal.
I don't even think it's immoral. I think it's ridiculous.
This is Free Talk Live.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
He wants action. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Biden says more needs to be done to get the economy back on track.
The unemployment rate fell slightly last month to 6.2%. The economy added nearly 400,000 jobs, but more than 9 million jobs lost since the pandemic have not yet been recovered.
We have 1 million fewer educators, 1 million fewer educators than we did this time last year. We've lost 400,000 small businesses.
President Biden met with his economic team, telling reporters at the current pace it will take 2 years to recover economically from the pandemic. He is urging Congress to speed up that recovery with the American Rescue Plan.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Republican South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham has problems with parts of that bill.
The unemployment benefit plan they have in their partisan bill results in 68% of the people on unemployment making more unemployed than they did at work. And we think that's not right, and some Democrats, we believe, agree with us.
Graham says Democrats are using the bill as a way to get money for what he called a liberal wish list for things that have nothing to do with COVID. The White House is considering using the military installations to house unaccompanied minors who have crossed the southern border. Fort Lee, near Richmond, Virginia, is one of the places being looked at by the Department of Health and Human Services. President Biden ended the practice of expelling the children.
We believe that policy was inhumane, and we believe that children who are under the age of 18 should be treated with humanity and provided safety while we consider what the process is moving forward.
Press Secretary Jen Psaki, the president has ordered senior members of his staff to travel to the U.S.-Mexico border and brief him on the government response to the influx of unaccompanied minors. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're using anything other than Indeed for your hiring, you are wasting your time. Hire great people faster with Indeed. Only pay for results and get back time in your schedule. Indeed.com helps you find quality candidates instantly with Indeed Instant Match. Indeed searches through the millions of resumes in their database to help show you great candidates instantly. Get started right now with a free $75 credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Fox. Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through March 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
Coup leaders in Burma reportedly tried to withdraw a huge sum of money from a bank account in the U.S.
Reuters reports Burma's military tried to withdraw around $1 billion from a bank account the country holds at the Federal Reserve in New York. It's thought the attempt to empty the account was aimed at limiting the army's exposure to international sanctions imposed after it staged a coup last month. A lethal crackdown has followed. The withdrawal was reportedly blocked first by automatic safeguards and then by an order from the Biden administration. Simon Owen, Fox News.
A federal judge in Virginia has tentatively scheduled a trial date of January 2022 for 2 Syrian militants accused of killing American and foreign hostages in Syria. El-Safi el-Sheikh and Aman Koti, along with 2 other British men, made up what surviving hostages called the Beatles because of their English accents. They're accused of beheading American journalists James Foley, James Sadoloff, and Peter Kasich, and 2 Japanese journalists. The pair were captured by Kurdish forces in 2018 when they tried to flee to Turkey. A major transportation company is asking for federal help after it says it was hit hard by the pandemic.
Greyhound says their business was left decimated by the COVID-19 pandemic, having to reduce or furlough workers, especially bus drivers, and they're operating at only 40% of pre-pandemic capacity. Now the company wants a federal bailout since they're
The couple told reporters this week that they routinely urge their son Patrick to devote all of his time and resources to his improv comedy education.
We keep telling Patrick again and again that if you don't buckle down and start learning basic concepts like yes and the Herald now, nobody is going to take you seriously later in life.
He has to start thinking about this now.
The parents explained that he should try to get as much out of his improv training as possible by attending improv jams, forming a few indie teams, and doing as much bar prov as possible to keep himself warm for those upcoming Herald auditions.
The fact is, if Patrick were on stage with his fellow improvisers, and one of them were to play, say, a supervillain who's afraid of mice, Patrick wouldn't even be able to identify the game in that scene, let alone respond in a supportive way.
I gotta say, I had this internship at a law firm, but I quit to do a character workshop and a musical elective. I think this is really gonna pay off for me in the long run.
This is the Onion News Network.
Terror and confusion fell upon the nation this week after nearly 314 million Americans reported inexplicably losing consciousness for 8 hours straight last night, with countless victims helplessly recovering from the fugue-like state with no memory whatsoever of the lost time. Researchers at Princeton University, who have been studying the alarming phenomenon since its inception, told reporters that though they were unable to ascertain the source of the sweeping condition, it appeared to be somehow linked to the setting of the sun.
Right now, we suspect that there may be some connection between these sudden blackouts and the visions that some Americans have reported experiencing while they were unconscious. But most of these hallucinations are too abstract for us to draw any definite conclusions from.
At this time, we urge people to never turn off their lights and under no circumstances close their eyes for any extended period of... Oh, God. It's happening again.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. We're digging in deep into this John McAfee case. In fact, we just discovered this isn't a criminal trial. These aren't criminal charges, apparently. This is a civil case being brought against...
What's the difference?
So civil, is a term that they use to describe cases that don't involve criminal penalties, from
Financial.
what I understand. They're usually
like
financial.
divorce.
That would be a civil case. Yeah. Criminal would be you're going to go to jail for something. Civil, on the other hand.
You might go to jail.
You face the potential usually of jail. Yeah. And in civil, it's usually the potential of having to pay somebody. Is typically, as I understand it.
Well, how is this civil and not criminal?
So, apparently these aren't criminal charges.
Wait, even tax evasion?
Tax evasion is criminal. So he is facing criminal penalties in that particular case.
What he's being extradited over, correct?
That's correct. Okay. So this one is actually a lawsuit, and it is the Commodity Futures Trading Commission.
It is by the state that's bringing the lawsuit, though, which is interesting because a lot of people don't know that the state can bring a lawsuit.
It's specifically the arm of the state known as the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and they are bringing the case in the U.S. District Court of New York, the Southern District of New York, against John McAfee and his alleged bodyguard Jimmy Watson Jr. Now, we were sharing with you some of the alleged tweets that John McAfee made in true McAfee style, by the way, which you're saying is sort of almost like this self-aggrandizing, self-parody kind of Twitter post.
Yeah.
And you're not even saying this is immoral. That was the last thing you said.
I don't even think this is immoral. I mean, this is just ridiculous.
So you don't think it's immoral for John McAfee to get on Twitter and claim falsely that he has no position in the coins that he is about to tell you about?
Right. So the problem
That's
is
a lie.
that in the very quotes that you're reading off, he's going from one in the very it's not even like. I could understand if the guy was like a serious business person and not lying left and right and not saying one thing and then saying another that contradicts the first thing he said, then I could understand it. But it's not. He was doing these things in such a way that was, it just came off as funny and entertaining to me.
Yeah, but you're in possession of more facts than perhaps the average person.
No. You could read right in the very sentences, the very quotes that you read. You could see the contradiction. You don't have to be.
We can see it. We can see it, but we've paid attention to this guy.
So, should we have to protect dumb people?
No, I don't think we should. Like I said, I don't think these things should be illegal. I don't think as we find out, there's not criminal charges, but I don't think you should be able to bring a civil case against somebody for this either. So I don't think that what he did is something that anything should happen by the government's arm.
Yeah.
I think that people just need to be, people like this need to be outed. They need to be shown clearly. You know it, I know it, but there are people out there that don't know it, okay? There are people out there that when they think of McAfee, they think of antivirus software, and whether they've had a good experience with that or bad experience is another question. But presuming they've had a positive experience with the McAfee software, they may associate positive things with the name, and then they see him making recommendations about cryptocurrencies to buy.
I mean, he said that he would never buy the stuff that he like said something to the effect I won't buy the stuff that I'm pimping.
It's laughable.
Like, how can you
laughable.
possibly take that seriously?
Somebody is, okay? It's guaranteed
All
that
right,
somebody is.
without a sense of humor is like, I'm sorry, but like,
yes, there are plenty of people like that.
Actually, Chris has a point. Maybe he's purposely making it as dumb and unbelievable as possible because he doesn't want anybody to buy into it. He just wants to get the $100,000. Well, he's going to get the $100,000 either way.
Well, I don't know if this was before or during his $100,000 thing, but he was also, according to the story, according to the indictment, okay, they also had knowledge. And somebody gave him up. So they had knowledge of the fact that he was making trades on cryptocurrency exchanges during the times where he was making these Twitter recommendations. So they actually have, according to the indictment, the evidence to show that John McAfee, before he pimps Dogecoin, buys a bunch of Dogecoin, pimps Dogecoin, then sells the Dogecoin and makes a bunch of Bitcoin.
What's wrong with that?
And here's
nothing inherently.
But here's
is
the
wrong
thing:
with that.
like, if this wasn't one big scheme, effectively, that the participants who bought Dogecoin were participating themselves knowingly, right? Then I'd be like, okay, I could understand, maybe accusing him of fraud. The problem is these people know that it's going to go up as a result of them buying it, and it's also going to go down after people.
It's not fraudulent for him to say buy Dogecoin. It's fraudulent for him to say, I don't have any Dogecoin, and I think it's a great investment. You should buy it.
Oh my God.
That's fraudulent.
I'm sorry.
When you tell a lie.
Well, it is a lie, but also does it really change anything about whether or not he likes it? Like him owning it or not? I mean, does it really matter if
whether or not it's a lie? So if he doesn't say, if he was honest and said, I love Dogecoin, you should buy it, and whether he adds whether he has it or not, that's a more honest statement than saying, I don't have any Dogecoin, I think you should buy it. And then he's telling a lie because he just bought a bunch of Dogecoin before he made the statement. Let me go on with some of these. Let me go on with another quote from McAfee. This is December 22nd of 2017 from his Twitter. If I say it's a great coin and nothing else, I promise you I don't own any of it. I'm not affiliated with it, and I'm not interested in whether or not you buy it. So I'm sorry. This is what the world is. Listen, I'm 72 years old. What am I going to do with more money? Seriously. I mean,
wasn't the guy talking about how he was broke and like some other stuff, and how he used to have lots of money, but he spent it all?
He's got plenty of money.
Like everything he says is like entertainment value. It's not investment value. Why anybody would be stupid enough to go along? Like, it's you don't have to listen to this guy. Like, you don't have to follow this guy on a regular basis to realize, just by looking at his Twitter feeds for a few minutes, that what he's saying doesn't make any sense, and you shouldn't be investing based on what he is saying.
I don't care if you buy it, and I don't have any, and it's great.
Right. He obviously cares, and he does have some. And I agree with you. It is funny. There's no doubt. I'm laughing at this. But he's lying to people. He says, listen, I'm 72 years old. What am I going to do with more money? Seriously, I mean, my knees are bad. What am I going to buy? I don't need money. What I need is to create a better world for the children.
Dude, you're telling me that's not satire? I mean, come on.
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
No
I think this
but he's lying. That's the only problem. All he had to do was not say that he wasn't affiliated with it and that he doesn't own any of it. McAfee's recommendations tended to increase the demand for the promoted digital asset. For example, in 2018 January, he touted Dogecoin as his coin of the week. Shortly after his endorsement, the digital asset's trading price rose more than 10%, which isn't even meaningful in the world of cryptocurrency. I mean, that can happen in 5 minutes. This pattern, McAfee's promotion of a digital asset immediately followed by a short-lived price rise, occurred with respect to at least 9 digital assets during the time period that he was promoting them. And so they go on to give you some more specific examples of what he was doing. They give an example for the cryptocurrency known as Verge. In December of 2017, he transferred about $20,000 worth of Bitcoin to Agent 1. Now, whenever the government uses terms like Agent 1 without identifying the person, It sounds to me like there was a government agent that had been working with McAfee. Either that or it's one of his associates that for some reason they're not naming. But usually it's a government agent, right? When you see Agent 1.
I would think so, yeah.
Well, if he sold it to him, then yeah, it's probably just a government agent that went and bought it from him so they can do all this.
No, he transferred the Bitcoin to Agent 1. He then confirmed the transfer to Agent 1 via Skype messages and directed Agent 1 to use a portion of the Bitcoin to trade for Verge at the then prevailing valuation for Bitcoin. So he was hiring someone to do his trades on his behalf. He had a trading agent, so it wasn't actually McAfee.
Okay.
McAfee wasn't actually making his own trades.
Well, that's kind of funny because that means what he said was true and it wasn't a lie.
That his agent was the one with all
right,
the
because
coins.
his agent was doing it, and he just had this would be like investing in a company and then promoting the company and like or I don't know, something, right? Like
Okay, so now that is an interesting question, Chris. Is it a true statement that if you have an agent holding your money for you that you don't have a thing? I mean, that is stretching it, man.
It's true that you don't directly have any of that crypto. Your agent is the one doing the trading.
But he's called your agent because he's doing things on your behalf. He has your money on a contractual basis. So I don't know.
But you're not the one making the decision, right?
There's more coming up.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Coinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Coinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Coinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. The number, if you want to join us, 603-283-6160. And of course, you can bring up anything that you want. It doesn't have to be John McAfee, your opinions on him. Chris is basically saying, oh, well, everybody knows he's a liar, so it's totally fine if he's dishonest with people.
The problem is, again, it's not that everybody knows he's a liar from the get-go. It's once you start reading his texts, once you start reading his tweets, his toots, or whatever, you know what he's saying isn't making any sense. So,
but you're also like a really smart guy. So isn't it possible that you know
I think you're giving too much credit.
That
I think you're giving way too much credit.
You're a successful business owner. You're a programmer. You can't be a programmer and be a dumbass, right?
I don't know about that.
you got to have some level of intellect. You might not be able to get along with other human beings, but you've got to be somewhat smart to do programming, right? I mean, you have to be able to write things.
He can get along with other human beings.
Yes, I'm not saying that about Chris. Chris is good about talking with people, but
it is a stereotype, though, of programmers. I'll give you that. I got you.
Yeah, you got to be able to read. You got to be able to write in order to program.
Yeah, okay? I think that's a fair statement. Do some basic math, sure.
So
I did ask Ian if he thought I was smart enough to be on with you.
Definitely.
Yes. Yes, radio is not that hard.
So we're going to get into...
It has the opposite reputation.
Your calls and thoughts. They're welcome here. We were talking about John McAfee. He's facing not charges in this case, but a civil case brought against him. And we'll tell you what they're actually asking for. Like, what do they want out of this case? They're going to a jury trial. And we'll explain that coming up here in a moment. But first, let's go to Reverend Ratspeed. He is on our Matrix chat server. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, calling from Nevada.
Excellent. Yeah.
All
so
right.
Before I get into what I was going to talk about, I just want to mention I did tweet John McAfee once back when I had discovered that a YouTube channel, a fraudulent YouTube channel, had created this, one of those. Click on this link and scan in this QR code and give us your Bitcoin, and we'll give you additional Bitcoin in return, blah, 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 blah. So I went ahead. I remember when that happened. So I had tweeted him, and he goes, and I said, hey, just wanted to let you know someone's, pretending to be you. And I loved his answer. He said, something around the lines of those that, fall for that will learn a very valuable lesson.
And he didn't say it wasn't him.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. Are you sure it wasn't him?
Which it's a fair shake.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no guarantees in life. If you fall for a grifter in an alleyway and they pickpocket you, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and there's no amount of government that's going to protect people from that, which is why, again, I don't think that what happened here should be illegal. I don't think that there should be a court case brought against it. But that doesn't mean that I think that it's okay that he was being dishonest.
I agree with you, Ian, but at the same time, you can't. You are literally doing the general public a disservice, the citizens, the people, by trying to protect them, because now they are under this illusion.
I'm not trying to protect them.
No,
I'm just saying dude's being dishonest.
Right, but you give people the illusion that there's some sort of big government that's going to protect them from things.
No, I don't.
Why
would I give them that?
I think it is. I think it is when you're going to say
that illusion.
I think it is if you're gonna argue for this being at least some sort of it should be some sort of crime. And I guess you're not arguing that, but
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that this should be completely legal, and that it shouldn't be able to be brought to court. But That said, I don't think it's okay to be dishonest, and I think it's totally fine to call out people for being dishonest, and that's what we're doing here on this show, and we've done it before about McAfee.
I would be 100% agreement on that. I think in this particular case, there's nothing to call out, but I would agree with you on that generally speaking.
There is something to call out.
Is there really?
He told lies, and that's worth pointing out.
I think this is entertainment value, worth pointing out.
He's entertaining as hell. There's no doubt about it.
I think it's entertainment value.
A good liar
good to
should
point
be
this out.
entertaining.
But as far as actually having to tell anybody, I think that's a stretch.
Having to tell them?
I don't think you have to tell anybody. I think anybody who actually reads what he's saying is going to realize that this is, There's nothing. You don't need to tell people that he's a liar. I mean, they will see for himself just by reading his own, toots and things.
I think these type of criminal suits and lawsuits and all that kind of create sort of like an investment in government dependence. If you can look at it that way, it makes people feel like that they have no other choice but to go to big government to save them for their own stupidity.
Right.
Pretty much. But anyway, real quick, I just wanted to mention that before I got into the thing that I was calling about. Just today, a brand new story has been released by several different newspapers. You were curious about what was happening in Nevada, whatever you want to call it, regarding the innovation zones and blockchains LLC. Brand new resolution has
hold
just
on
been
before
passed.
you go on. So this was basically the company town idea where there's going to be a corporate entity. Blockchains LLC. Apparently, they've bought a large plot of land in Nevada. Was it Southern Nevada?
Huge.
I think.
Northern Nevada.
Oh, sorry, Northern Nevada. They're trying to get the government to allow them to essentially become their own government. So to essentially carve out their own county, basically, and essentially be an additional governmental entity there in the state of Nevada. And
essentially, yes, to sort of secede sideways from county level government to be able to have their own taxations, their own law enforcement, basically.
It's not really secession because it's an additional government. It's not. It's
no. They would be leaving the county. They would. So the county that has the.
They would be an autonomous entity unto themselves. That's why, like I said, it's very.
They would still fall under the state.
Under the very interesting.
Yeah.
So
what about federal?
Yeah, they would still be under the federal. Sure.
Yeah, not federal. In fact, okay, so federal, yes, but state. Compared to other states, the state of Nevada has very few state laws as compared to other states nearby. Yes, that's the interesting thing about Nevada.
Okay.
If you look at the code. So here's the resolution that got passed by Story County commissioners yesterday. Or was it? No. It was Tuesday. I'm sorry. I stand corrected. Okay. Tuesday. They voted to, quote unquote, oppose separatist governing control. In other words, they are blocking the ability for this so-called innovation zone to even take an effect, even if the state passes it.
Do they have that ability? Is Nevada a home rule state?
I don't know. That's a good question. I should look that up after I hang up. But yeah, they did oppose it, and so they passed it. Out of the three commissioners out of the two commissioners that were available today, 2-0 passed against it. The one commissioner that was not there, was not physically present for the vote for the meeting, was Lance Gilman, the third commissioner for Story County. Lance Gilman was the person who sold the property to Blockchains LLC.
Oh, wow.
No word as to the reason why he was not there. I did notice that.
Well, he couldn't have voted on it anyway.
Well, I'm wondering about that. He probably would have been a very big conflict of interest because not only did he sell it to them for a lump sum of $175 million, but also he was retained for a year by Blockchains as an advisor.
Hold on, Ratspeed. It sounds like you may have more on this. We can bring it back. It's an interesting thing that's developing there. According to the internet, Nevada does not have home rules, so it may very well be that the county can be overruled by the state government on this. They're just sort of registering their protest, basically. There's more coming up. It's Free Talk Live. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. it called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. The number if you want to join in, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Here in the studio tonight, it's me, Ian.
Bonnie.
And Chris.
And we are talking about, well, whatever you want to discuss. We were talking about John McAfee and what's been going on where he's now facing a new trial. This one is a civil case. Securities fraud is what they're alleging against him. And we'll tell you what the federal government wants out of this case. Because remember, it's civil, so he's not facing jail time on this one.
Wants blood.
Now, he is facing jail time on the IRS charges for not paying federal income tax. That's a whole other story. Again, all of these victimless crimes. I mean, there's nobody here. Now, someone is going to argue that someone was victimized by his tweets, but I'm sorry, that is not a victimization.
No.
It is, look, you should be able to say what you want. I don't care about the idea of libel laws or or any of these things. Buyer beware.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I think that if it wasn't John McAfee doing it the way he was doing it, I would be totally right. There maybe you could be a victim, but like this was not a case of victimization of anybody, period.
We'll tell you more about that on the way here, but Reverend Ratspeed calling in from Nevada, he's got an update on this special economic zone, innovation zone project that a Blockchains LLC corporation has been lobbying heavily for. They even got the governor of Nevada to introduce a bill in the Nevada legislature to promote this. And now what you're saying is the county in which this corporation has purchased a large plot of land has now voted to reject any sort of innovation zone. Is that right?
That's correct. And in fact, the area of land that they had purchased actually spans across 2 different counties. That's how large it is. The majority of it is in Story County, but there is a bottom southeastern portion that actually is in the neighboring county called Lyon County. Okay. So yeah, but it's Story County that's the one that did the resolution. I just want to mention real quick that regarding John McAfee, it does look like that it is federal prosecutors that are the ones that are charging him with fraud, John McAfee. But on the very bottom of this CNBC article I was looking at, it does say the Commodity Futures Trading Commission have filed a separate civil charge against McAfee and Watson. So
he's facing both a civil and a criminal case.
Yes. Yeah, according to what I'm reading here. Yeah.
So does that mean he's got 3 cases that he's facing?
That sounds like it. Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing here?
That's what it sounds
like. It because when they arrested him in Spain, it was for something else, something about tax evasion.
Yeah, right.
And now this new one is about cryptocurrency fraud.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here in the Verge.com, they're saying each count is facing 7 charges criminally, and facing between 5 and 20 years for each charge.
Yeah. So they're basically just stacking charges here. It sounds like.
Well, of course,
throwing as much at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is their tactics.
I think they're using his celebrity against him. He's like a poster boy for it, and they want to try to make him, whatchamacallit, what's the word?
Make a show out of him.
Yeah,
and they do this.
An example.
They do this all the time. I mean, this
they
is
do.
not.
I mean,
new.
The SEC is looking at Elon right now for tweeting about Dogecoin.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's clear free speech, and at least in the case of Elon Musk, I mean, he's got a ton of money, and he's going to fight that if they do bring something.
Why should I be able to talk about it, but Elon Musk can't just because he's got money? I mean, this is so ridiculous.
He's bigger than you.
He's got money. That's exactly what it is. He's got money.
What?
He's got more followers.
Respect.
People pay attention.
He has no respect for the SEC.
Yeah, but he actually wasn't doing what John McAfee was doing. He was actually buying it.
That's true. Elon Musk wasn't being dishonest. He was actually saying he's behind Doge. He's into Doge. He supports it. All right. So, but I want to go back to Nevada here, Ratspeed. So this town or the county of Story County, Nevada, voted to block innovation zones from happening in their county. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, there's been several different stories. Each one of them is slightly different. There is some copy pasta between these different rags that are putting it out. But the one that I found the most interesting was the one that added the sentence. It was from Las Vegas that Lance Gilman was not present for the vote. That is very telling because he probably doesn't want to be anywhere near this. That's my guess.
Now, Lance is a county councilor who is the person who sold them the plot of land.
Yeah, let me tell you about Lance. He's a really interesting character. Originally, he came from Southern California. He graduated from San Diego back like in the 60s. He got into some real estate business and whatnot. And then in the 80s, he moved to Nevada. He has been kind of like a key player for a lot of regional development in this area to prepare things for future growth, for establishing plumbing and fixing up roads and swampland that's out here, making it maintainable so that way you can put plots and whatnot.
You say here, are you living in this plot, the Story County? Is that where you live?
I'm not in Story County. Okay. No. Okay. I'm saying that he had.
But you know this.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everything is so. Oh yeah. When this blockchain thing took off, I was like, I wanted to find out everything that I could about the background behind it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So,
it's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're talking about
this place
Blockchain
is
LLC.
Yeah, this Blockchains LLC. As I understand it.
It's like Gold Rush 2.0 out here, except it's crypto instead of gold. That's pretty much what's happening.
Those are exciting times. Now, according to Dillon's rule, named after Justice Dillon in the Iowa Supreme Court, he opined that municipal corporations owe their origin to and derive their powers and rights wholly from the legislature. So Nevada has long been considered a Dillon's rule state. There's very few exceptions to what a municipal corporation, and that's what a county is, right, can do. It's general and undisputed proposition of law that a municipal corporation possesses and can exercise the following powers and no others. 1, those granted in express words, meaning what the state says that they can do. If the state says they can do a thing, then they can do it. 2, those necessarily or fairly implied in or incident to the powers expressly granted. And 3, those essential to the accomplishment of the declared objects and purposes of the corporation, not simply convenient, but indispensable. So what they're going to argue, I think, in this case, the county government guys, is they're going to say, well, we can't let this go. This is tax money. I mean, if we let this go, then we're going to lose a huge swath of the county, and we're going to lose our tax revenue.
Since Lance Gilman is a commissioner, and ever since I don't know how they separated ways, but Blockchains LLC no longer has Lance Gilman retained as an advisor or as a marketer. I noticed that when this big story about the Innovation Zone bill proposal came out, there were a couple of quotes from Lance saying that he had reservations about allowing this to happen. Very interesting. So there is some speculation that perhaps it's the county, they want to have more stake in what's happening, not 100% what they call separatist governing control, but they want to have something in there because there is a couple of lines in here that mention, there's a lot of tax money that is like Story County. If you look at it on a map, compared to all of the other counties around, is a small, very small county compared to Lyon County, compared to Clark County, and all of these other surrounding counties. It's a very weird place. It's a tiny little place.
I was actually going to ask about that because I looked it up, and what about the people living there? It's right by Carson City and it's right by Reno. Like,
Lance Gilman has been credited for saving the county. So what happened is they really had a very small population. They don't have any kind of economic growth. It's just basically some farmers and some ranchers. And Lance Gilman, when he bought all of that land and began to start pushing it and developing it, he became a key player. He got voted in, and he also runs the brothel called the Mustang Ranch, which was raking in all of that money. Well, yeah, it's that guy. Yeah, Lance Gilman, cowboy hat, you name it, right? He's a business guy. He's a mogul, and he really essentially kind of transformed Story County from this little known, like the only thing Story County was known for was Virginia City, which was the mid 19th century gold rush town from the Comstock lode back when the founders that made that took all of the money that they raked in from all of the gold back from the mid 19th century are the ones who founded San Francisco. They're the ones who took all of those.
I love how you know so much history. It's really interesting. And Ratspeed, thanks for sharing. Keep us in the loop as this develops, because it's not going to stop here. I mean, this Blockchains LLC, they've got the ear of the governor, and you know that means they've been paying a lot of these politicians. They've been paying off a serious number of, because if they got the governor advocating for them, they've got their hands in a lot of pockets.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not going to stop here with the county saying, well, we're not going to let this happen. We'll keep you up on it. More coming up.
If you're looking for work, you know what I mean by elevator speech. It's the short version, saying just enough to make the listener want to listen more. Even if you're not a job seeker, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. So to cut through the clutter, choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Instead of saying, due to the fact that, say, because, and avoid mispronunciations. Say jewelry, not jewelry, which could offend. Undoubtedly, you don't want to say undoubtedly. And whatever you do, never use a preposition to end a sentence with. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
Where did you get this right to tell me what I can do in my business? Where do you get the right?
I support private property.
No, you don't.
You're a liar. You don't understand
I'm a liar?
it. You're either a liar or you don't understand what private property is. One or the other.
Your house is private property.
Yeah, my business
But as
is
soon as you
too.
open up a business to
It
the
is
public. Now it's
open
not
to the
private.
public.
As far as I'm concerned.
Well,
That's just an
you
opinion.
can redefine property if that's what you want to do. Where do you get the right to tell me what I can do in my business?
My lungs. So when they pass a law,
The government,
has lungs, sir.
you're not
The
allowed-
law. You just
I'm
pointed
being
it out.
silly. I'm being silly.
The law.
You're being a Nazi.
You're absolutely right. The law is what gives you the right. The law is a bunch of words written on paper by liars and thieves, and you're willing to use that force that they have to reach your own ends. When you're willing to do that, then anybody can do anything to you.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Our number for you is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio with you tonight, you've got me, Ian.
Bonnie.
And Chris.
And, of course, the phones are open should you wish to join us. Also, you need to know about Freedom's Phoenix. It's a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. If you want the newest and freshest stories and perspectives on current events from those who value liberty, freedomsphoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. Freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. That's freedomsphoenix.com. As we go to more of your calls and thoughts, we have Tom in New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Bonnie, and Chris.
Yeah, somebody told me that they were going to be having a COVID-19 vaccination clinic in Nashua.
Ugh.
So I went over to the place, the church in Nashua. I went around, oh, here's some people over here. Let me take a look. And I walked up, wearing my mask and like a good boy, and walk up and I saw some people wearing jackets with the city logo on them. And one of these bureaucrats was talking to a guy in the line in Spanish. I walk up there and said, talk in Spanish. Talking about vaccine, by the way, how do I get an appointment? I need to schedule an appointment I'm telling him that I need an appointment. I'm telling him in Spanish, and he's telling me back that, first of all, you see, I was wearing a mask and a baseball cap, and I have to ask you about what is your race? And I said, why do you ask that? This clinic here is only for minorities. And I'm like, what? Oh, how about human race? Okay, I'm human race. Well, I'll answer you that much. And I got turned away, I guess, because I wouldn't discuss what race I am. And so I'm working, first of all, with the city bureaucrats.
Well, surprise, the government is prioritizing vaccines based on politics. I mean, is anybody really surprised about that?
Is this the government doing, or is this a private clinic?
These were city bureaucrats, city, I believe, health.
It's happening at a church, but it's being run by the government.
Did you actually want a vaccine?
Well, I was asking about scheduling it because my wife was saying something about wanting to get a vaccine as well. But I wasn't all that eager to it because if I was, I would have whipped out my Dominican Republic ID and said, what about me? I'm a Latino, so you got this Dominican Republic ID, and which I get to have because I'm married to somebody from the Dominican Republic.
Gotcha.
But that's... See, but then that raised the issue. I'm also going to the state attorney general's office, the civil rights office, on Monday. I kept trying to call him. All they get is the answering machine.
You're going to the attorney general over this?
Oh, yeah, the New Hampshire attorney general's office up in Concord. Because, see, when I call, they figure that they can force people to leave a message. But instead of answering the phone, they deal with an irate citizen in their office.
Okay.
Because I go up to Concord and I say, well, yeah, maybe you should have answered the phone instead of hiding behind an answering machine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really that interested in people fighting over vaccines, really. But thank you for the call tonight. The number here is 603-283-6160. I mean, it's just different interest groups fighting over who gets the vaccine first. I mean, does anybody really care about that? I mean, those of us who don't care about vaccines.
There must be, because there must be people out there who do care, but
the ones that are fighting over it, I guess.
I mean,
that's like Tom's least interesting call ever. Normally he has something entertaining.
Yeah, I thought he was saying that he was just doing this as an experiment or something, but he actually wanted the vaccine.
Yeah.
Well, his wife wanted the vaccine.
Yep. So people will do strange things for whatever their wife says. There's one guy who's a listener of Free Talk Live that we know, and his wife is like totally like fallen into this whole vaccine thing with the fear of the COVID and it's not easy.
Oh,
it's not easy. Being
I know.
Not easy being a freedom lover when your wife's afraid. 603-283-6160 because you still care about her. You don't want her to be in a bad way.
She hasn't come out of the house in 6 months.
Yeah, not good. Not good. So back to the story here. We were telling you about John McAfee and his alleged bodyguard who are now being charged apparently both criminally and in civil court. So what I was reading from was a civil court document. That's what Verge.com or TheVerge.com linked to in their article here about this, which I imagine both of them have similar alleged facts in the case about McAfee purchasing a Bitcoin or using Bitcoin to purchase an altcoin like Dogecoin, for instance, or in this case they give an example of Verge, where they say that at around December of 2017, on December 13th, McAfee transferred about $20,000 worth of Bitcoin to Agent 1 and confirmed the transfer via Skype messages, directing Agent 1 to use a portion of the Bitcoin to trade for Verge at the then prevailing valuation in Bitcoin. As directed by McAfee, Agent 1 then traded about 0.4 Bitcoin for over 687,000 Verge. After he had traded the Bitcoin for McAfee in an electronic digital asset trading platform, which they're not identifying which platform. That's going to have to come out at trial. But some platform had McAfee had an account, or this agent had an account. Somehow they were able to identify McAfee's account on this platform, and the platform gave up this information to the feds. McAfee issued tweets through his @official McAfee account promoting and endorsing Verge after purchasing Verge. For example, on or around December 13th, McAfee tweeted that he was, quote, inundated by people asking me for recommendations on cryptocurrencies. If you would use your heads, you'd figure out that the privacy coins, anonymous transactions, will have the greatest future. Now, that's, in my opinion, a pretty good advice. Like, privacy coins,
you would think,
probably are going to do well in the future. Now, which ones? We have no idea. Now, Monero happens to be the number one privacy coin as far as ranking just the privacy coins. Monero's the king of the hill.
Yep.
Will it be dethroned by something better? It could. We have no idea. And right now, Monero's falling down the charts. It's like around number 20. And it's been as high as like number 10 or 11 or whatever. Going on here, he says coins like Monero, Verge, or Zcash cannot lose, he said. And the next day, McAfee followed up specifically regarding Verge, saying, no, not joking. I included Verge because it's a legitimate privacy coin, and it's also selling for less than 3 cents. If you know investing, you know that it's easier for a 3-cent coin to go to $3 than it is for a $300 coin to go to $30,000. The same rise. And, again, pretty good point. Those tweets were followed by a live interview of McAfee on or around December 16th, in which he continued to tout Verge. During and following McAfee's public touts of Verge, the prevailing price of Verge increased. Initially, the price had tripled by the morning of December 16th, as Agent 1 reported to McAfee in a Skype message. Ultimately, after the live... Another mistake, using Skype to communicate.
For sure.
Why?
It's Microsoft owned.
They literally rerouted. I think it was the CIA. I forget which government agency did this, but they basically had one company buy Skype, and then somehow that fell through with basically tapping into Skype because originally Skype was decentralized, so it was proprietary, but it was decentralized. So
meaning point-to-point connections.
Yeah, the NSA couldn't tap into it easily. But then I guess it was NSA bought. Or had another company, somebody who owned another company, buy it. And then I guess they didn't do what the NSA wanted, so they had Microsoft buy it. And then Microsoft rewrote the software and had it route all through central servers so that they could tap into it. Yeah.
Ultimately, after the live-streamed interview, the price of Verge rose more than approximately 500% from the day before McAfee's first touts by tweet to the end of the day on or around December 17th. As the price of Verge rose, McAfee directed Agent 1 to trade McAfee's Verge position for Bitcoin. So remember, he bought Verge with Bitcoin before he made the announcement about Verge. Verge price goes up. McAfee then orders his agent to trade back, so to then sell his Verge for Bitcoin, and that yielded him approximately 2 Bitcoin, which was about 5 times his original investment.
Wait, what year was this?
2017.
Oh.
So 2 Bitcoin at that time.
Wasn't even that much.
Well, actually, this was as the rise up was happening. So this would have been in the midst of that. So
100,000?
Let's say $15,000 Bitcoin.
Oh, 50,
so,
that's not even. Oh, no. Okay, so 30,000.
Maybe 20,000, or close to it. Because this was around when it hit 20,000.
If it was 15,000, it was 2 Bitcoin, then it would be 30,000.
Yes, so that's right.
Yeah.
So that's what he was doing. Now, what is the federal government? And they give more examples of this. He did it with Redcoin. He did it with Dogecoin. Again, concealing the fact that he had these coins, lying about the fact that he had these coins. What does the federal government want? Well, they want a bunch of money, and apparently they want to put him in prison as well. You can share your thoughts. Hour number 3 is on the way. 603-283-6160.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Another Senate marathon. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Lawmakers now going through a series of debates and votes called a votorama before voting on the coronavirus relief package.
We expect the Senate to wrap this bill late tonight or in the overnight hours of Saturday morning, but Democrats are trying to get West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin on board with a plan to extend additional unemployment assistance through September, and there is a problem with lowering that aid from $400 to $300 a month. Now, Democrats need to stick together to pass this bill or get help from the GOP.
Fox's Chad Pergram. The bill would need to go back to the House for a vote next week. As more and more people are able to get vaccinated against COVID-19, White House COVID-19 medical advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci says all 3 of the vaccines available in the U.S. are effective.
All 3 of them have a very important effect of being extraordinarily effective in preventing severe disease and particularly preventing hospitalizations and deaths.
Catholic leaders in St. Louis and New Orleans are advising Catholics that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is what they're calling morally compromised because it's produced using a cell line derived from an aborted fetus. Another state lifting mask mandate.
South Carolina's Governor Henry McMaster announced he was lifting a previous order to wear masks in state buildings as well as in businesses and restaurants, saying it would be up to administrators and business owners to implement their own guidelines from here on out. But he said he recommended people continue to wear masks. Earlier Friday, the CDC director cautioned against rolling back mask mandates, saying the research indicates virus cases go down when such mandates are implemented and conversely go up when they are lifted. And Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
An American Airlines Boeing 737 MAX made an emergency landing at Newark Airport in New Jersey after pilots noticed a possible problem with an oil pressure indicator. America's listening to Fox News.
Join over 24,000 of some of the fastest growing companies in the world who rely on NetSuite. Just ask Sean Nelson, founder of Lovesac.
We started as a beanbag company in my parents' basement. And the next thing I knew, we were one of the fastest growing furniture companies in the world. Only problem? We still had multiple systems for everything.
NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, inventory, e-commerce, HR, and more.
Lovesac furniture is built to last and infinitely adaptable, just like NetSuite.
Find out how NetSuite can help your company with a free product tour at netsuite.com/relax.
Italy holding back COVID vaccine over what it says is a lack of supply by the manufacturer.
Italy, with the backing of the European Union, has refused to ship 250,000 doses of AstraZeneca's coronavirus vaccine to Australia on the grounds that AstraZeneca has not delivered supplies it promised to the EU. It is the first time a European country has exercised its new rights to hold back supply, this amidst cries of vaccine nationalism. Meanwhile, Russia is exporting its vaccine, Sputnik V, wide and far. Some say this Sputnik 2 is looking very much like a geopolitical tool. Amy Kellogg, Fox News.
The mayor of Detroit turned down more than 6,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Mike Duggan claiming the Pfizer and Moderna shots are the best, and he said he will do everything he can to make sure Detroit residents get the best. The suspect in an attack on a federal facility in Virginia has died.
The man prosecutors say opened fire on a security guard in Virginia last month has died. William Rankin, supposedly equipped with some 600 rounds of ammunition when he entered the Social Security building with a rifle bag, shouting, "I want my money." They said he then fired several rounds at close range into the security guard who told him he couldn't enter the building, wounding him in several places, including the upper chest. That guard who fired back, hitting Rankin, was wearing a bulletproof vest and is expected to survive. Rankin had been charged with attempted murder and assault, and now that he's deceased.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
After visiting his girlfriend of 2 years at her workplace to deliver an unexpected threat for Valentine's Day, violent and controlling boyfriend Matthew Strachan spoke to The Onion about remaining a devoted and committed abuser.
On a special day like today, I like doing something extra malicious for Mallory, just so she knows that I've been thinking about hurting her. I mean, you should have seen the look on her face when I came and surprised her at work today. It was so great. I mean, she had no idea I was going to come to her office to belittle and frighten her. I mean, I wanted to do it in front of her friends to really humiliate her.
Strachan added that while he doesn't always get a chance to inflict harm on Mallory, he tries his best each and every day to create an environment of sustained physical and emotional abuse to leave her feeling completely alienated and powerless.
Just wait till she sees what I have in store for her tonight. I love Valentine's Day.
For more on this story, check this week's Onion Review.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. The number for you is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Here in the studio tonight, you've got Ian,
Bonnie,
and Chris.
Lots of stuff that we could be talking about. Since we've been talking about crypto, there's an interesting story over at MarketWatch.com where a fund manager warns that Bitcoin could prevent society from functioning and is an extreme form of libertarian anarchism.
Yay!
We could talk about that as well. But what started off the whole crypto conversation tonight is actually you, Chris. You brought in a story about John McAfee, the man behind McAfee antivirus, who is quite an interesting character in his own right and not to be trusted. Okay? This guy, he's entertaining as hell. You just can't believe a word that comes out of his mouth.
There's some background to John McAfee that I don't think most people know or even remember. For those who recall, but look, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure if you go look at like Wikipedia, it's going to say something to this effect. A lot of the original antivirus programs, the people who wrote them literally created the viruses too that they would then catch. Right.
Wow.
So this is not something that's like.
You think he was doing that?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure you can actually go online and you can find out like where you can find quotes of him saying this, right? Like that kind of thing. It just boggles my mind that anybody would even begin to think this guy, is somebody that you would want to trust. Like, and this is like all antivirus software, period. Like, it's not just McAfee. It's just antivirus is one big fraud,
Wow, that's pretty scummy.
If you use Linux, though, you generally don't have to worry about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only reason somebody, I would say, to use antivirus is because you're using Windows and like Microsoft, you're relying on Microsoft to fix the holes, but Microsoft doesn't fix the holes in a timely fashion. Right. But it's like antivirus is like taking a hammer and trying to stuff out the ants that are crawling through the fence. Like, think about how effective that's going to be.
Not very.
Not at all.
And they just won't fix the fence.
No, of course not. The solution would be, to fix the fence. I mean, I don't know if you could fix the fence, but if it was like a hole in the wall and the ants were getting in, taking a hammer trying to kill them rather than patch the hole in the wall.
So I'm going to just give you some more of the allegations here from this case. We got the civil case pulled up where they're going after McAfee and his bodyguard. They say that at times during the relevant period, McAfee made misleading statements and omissions concerning his financial interest and intent as to the touted digital asset. So for those just tuning in, he was promoting a crypto coin of the week, a crypto coin of the day, and he was getting paid to do this, and that's not a problem. And again, just to be clear, I don't think this should be illegal. I don't think that he should be facing any of these charges, but at the same time, it is important to realize that there are people out there who will take advantage of you, and whether it's John McAfee or somebody else, if somebody out there is making a recommendation and you buy based on what somebody posted on Twitter, I mean, you kind of deserve what you get.
Yeah.
If you don't just actually do your own research and you're not cautious and judicious in the way that you invest your money. But for example, around December 15th of 2017, in response to a Twitter user questioning whether McAfee had endorsed the digital asset Verge, that's a crypto coin, so as to, quote, pump the coin for his own financial benefit, McAfee misleadingly stated through his account that he did not have a position in the digital asset and falsely disclaimed any ulterior motive for his recommendations and endorsements. In fact, by and through his team, McAfee had built a position in the digital asset shortly before the tout, in order to pump and then dump the asset into the resulting price spike. At various times throughout the period, he misleadingly characterized his endorsements of digital assets as recommendations for long-term investments, when he himself, of course, was doing the opposite. For example, in January of 2018, with respect to a coin of the week recommendation, McAfee stated by tweet that, quote, all of his recommendations were long-term recommendations. He further claimed that his recommendations were based on significant research, including a review of thousands of white papers on the digital assets. In fact, by on or around December 20th, McAfee had not, quote, read every white paper. In fact, rather than thoroughly researched, truthful recommendations for long-term value, McAfee's endorsements of the assets were part and parcel of the defendant's short-term pump-and-dump scheme. Their criteria for selecting the assets centered on suitability for the pump-and-dump scheme, not long-term value or potential to, quote, change the world. His criteria for identifying them included current market price, circulating supply, market capitalization, and trading value. They understood that touting a digital asset for purchase on certain grounds while simultaneously trying to sell their previously accumulated position in the digital asset was deceptive and wrongful. For example, in the interview in 2017's December, McAfee warned investors to view digital asset recommendations with suspicion because, quote, unscrupulous promoters go, oh, I love this one or I love that one and this looks great. They don't know why they're saying it. Maybe they're saying it because they bought 100,000 coins and they can't sell them, right? Said McAfee. He made these and other false and misleading representations and omissions of material facts to prospective investors in the touted digital assets during the period. And so now they're coming at him with count one, fraud and manipulation by deceptive device and contrivance, where basically the U.S. code says that it is unlawful for any person to use or employ, and I'm skipping a lot of legalese here, any manipulative or deceptive device or contrivance in regards to getting people to do something with like a stock or commodity or something like that. So basically that's saying it's illegal for you to tell a lie in regards to recommending a thing. And they go after him for count two, attempted manipulation of the price of a commodity, which seems like it's that's going to be a tough one for them to get because, you know, is tweeting the same thing as an attempted manipulation of price? You don't know what the crypto market's going to do. But anyway, they're requesting a bunch of relief here, an order of permanent injunction, which would stop them and their affiliates and their agents and such for doing various different tradings and entering into transactions of like we're discussing here. They want to pay civil monetary penalties of not more than the blah, blah, blah amount prescribed. They want them to disgorge all benefits received, so to get rid of the money that they earned in doing this, and to make full restitution to every customer and investor whose funds defendants received or caused another person or entity to receive as a result of the acts and practices that they're describing here. So
Wow,
they actually want these people to somehow pay restitution to everybody who bought and purportedly lost money on Doge in Verge.
How could they prove that? What if somebody just happened to lose money on Verge and they're like, "Oh yeah, actually I did this because John McAfee said to."
Yeah,
they can't prove it, and that's it's just a crazy thing that they're asking for here. But nonetheless, I wanted to share that with you. There's more. In order to rescind all contracts and agreements, in order to make an accounting to the court of all their assets and liabilities, together with all funds they received and paid. So, man, this is like serious stuff. And then orders of courts and costs and fees. And then, of course, they're facing 5 to 20 years on each of these counts. So if they're convicted of any one of them, John McAfee could go to prison for the rest of his life, presuming that he is able to be extradited from Spain, which hopefully he won't be.
I wonder if they're going to use his health as a reason not to extradite, because they'll frequently use that as a reason.
I hope so. I don't want to see him going to prison over this. He's an entertaining guy. And
I just think it's so ridiculous.
If he doesn't get extradited, won't he just die in Spanish prison?
Well, they don't have to hold him there.
They'll release him because he's not being charged in Spain.
Cool.
That's correct. He's not being charged by any other government except for the U.S. government. And so if the Spanish government holds the extradition hearing at some point, things are going slower than ever due to COVID in all of the courts of the world. So who knows how long it's going to take them to actually hold the hearing. But if they hold the hearing and they find out that, no, this isn't an extraditable offense here in Spain, you're free to go, Mr. McAfee. And then, boy, good luck to him, because they're just going to try to get him to get picked up somewhere else.
Probably, yeah. I mean, you'd have to have some sort of residency in Europe probably in order to avoid the extradition,
or Russia, or something.
Yeah,
like
maybe if he can get to Russia without going through a country
that's willing to
snatch him. Yeah.
603-283-6160. You can bring up what you want and take control of the airwaves here, whether it's talking about the mask ordinances coming down in states like Mississippi, or more about crypto, whatever's on your mind. It's Free Talk Live.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into their rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Holy Whoa. Hey!
my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me.
You
What am I being
now.
detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and the number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. I think we pretty much covered all the aspects of this John McAfee situation.
We killed it.
Yeah. But if you want to comment, you're still welcome to. 603-283-6160. Or tell us about your favorite lie that John McAfee ever told, because he's got a long list of lies. I got to say, my favorite was the McAfee Bucks. Remember seeing this one?
No.
So he came up with, he cooked up with some really good graphics designer, some really nice looking graphics for what was supposed to be a printed McAfee currency. And the idea was, if you were able to acquire some of this currency, you could get some of McAfee's time. So it was worth McAfee's time, was what essentially the currency was supposed to be. And he had like all the designs made for these things, right? Like he had posted graphics of what the McAfee Bucks were going to look like. I forget what they were exactly called. But
his time doing what? Like you could hire him to do stuff?
Just to sit there and talk to him. You could just sit there and talk to McAfee. And so like he made a big post about this and posted all the graphics and that this was going to be a thing, and like if you had the Bucks, you could only redeem them by physically traveling to Mexico where his offices were. So like
he's not coming to you.
No, he would not come to you. And so like there were all these provisions that were put on it and everything. Never came out. So it was pretty funny though. All right. By the way, one of our chatters in the room, I won't say his full name, but it's To The Max there in our chat server, our Matrix chat server, which you can join over at chat.freetalklive.com. He says there's no way that other chat is more active than this. And he's absolutely right. We do have, other chat rooms that are out there. They're sort of associated with some of our video streaming platforms like Twitch and DLive, but they are nowhere near as busy as the Matrix chat server. And the Matrix server is available 24 hours a day. The DLive and Twitch chat rooms really only have any activity when the show is live. So if you want to have an interaction with other Free Talk Live listeners, the best place to go and do it is over at chat.freetalklive.com. That gets you to the step-by-step instructions on how to join the Matrix chat server, which has been I would say, tremendous success so far. What do you think, Chris?
I absolutely think it was a success, and it's amazing how many people are on there in some of those rooms and chatting. Yeah. I can't keep up. I don't even try.
Yeah, me neither.
It's like once in a while I'll take a quick glance at it and say something, but it's like, yeah.
Yeah, there's dozens of rooms available. You can create your own room if you want on whatever topic you want. You can administer it however you want. No admins, a group of admins, different rules, whatever you want. It's up to you. You decide. Go to chat.freetalklive.com to get started. We go to David in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, David.
Yes. In my
continuing efforts to destroy radio as we know it, I need to enlist the help of your listeners.
Okay.
And yeah, I need to talk about Bobby Hill. He's on the radio here now in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Bobby Hill, aka Brandon Hagany, and he was.
Are you referring to Bobby Hill, the fictional character from?
He lives in Arlen.
From what was it?
King of the Hill.
King of the Hill. Thank you.
King of the Hill. Yeah, King of the Hill. Well, Brandon Hagany, he just has a striking resemblance to Bobby Hill.
Oh my God.
So I get him confused. You can see Brandon Hagany's a picture on the internet, and he looks just like Bobby Hill. But he's on the radio. He's from East Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
He was announcer not announcer, but a radio wannabe kind of guy. And he was dealing with the Tennessee Titans and Vanderbilt, whatever it is, and volunteers and all that kind of stuff there in Tennessee. So I was wondering if any of your listeners have any experience with Brandon Hagany, a.k.a. Bobby Hill.
I've never heard of him. So he's a local talk show host in Albuquerque?
Yeah, he's very famous. He does traffic and weather.
How do you spell his last name? I can't figure it out.
H-H-H-A-H-A-G-H-A-N-Y. Brandon Hagany.
Okay. Yeah, I never would have guessed that.
Yeah. Just look for Bobby Hill's face.
So
when
why
you
should
get
we
up to
care
pictures
about this?
Well, he's one of these radio conspirator guys. He's one of the reasons why we need to shut down radio as we know it.
I don't understand.
He's destroying the whole world with his traffic and weather here in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
How's that?
So, like today, Mr. Gary Johnson was on the radio where Brandon Hagany is. You know that Gary Johnson guy?
Yeah, Gary Johnson, the former governor of New Mexico and
he's
sometime Libertarian Party presidential candidate. You're not really making things connect for me here, David.
But, it takes a little while. We're a little slow over here.
Well, we don't have much time.
I guess you're right.
Make the connection. Why should anyone care about this guy? Like, why are you telling an international radio audience about this traffic and weather reporter?
Because he's running interference. That's a sports term. He's running interference for Gary Johnson, for one thing.
For Gary Johnson? What does that mean? He's running interference for Gary Johnson.
Well, because when Mr. Gary Johnson comes on the radio, he's got some sort of political agenda, right? Because he was the governor of New Mexico, and he wanted to be the president of the whole United States. Yeah. And then Mr. Gary Johnson comes on the radio, and Mr. Bragany, Freudian slip, Mr. Hagany, he blocks people who might want to call in and question Mr. Gary Johnson.
You're mad at him because he screened out your phone call. Thanks for the call tonight.
It's probably because he was doing that horrible fake Southern accent.
It's that, Could David.
Be.
You know, I
didn't know who it was.
I didn't make the connection. He's usually talking about something else, about like his court case or something.
Yeah. He usually has something more relevant. But he's been really bad the last two nights.
Connection.
His last two calls have been some of the worst.
I mean, I think there's a few Davids that call inside and make the connection at first. Yeah.
I mean, imagine being so upset about getting screened out of a radio show that you call another radio show to complain about the board operator. Behind the scenes, because that's how it is, right? Like, they've got this guy doing traffic and weather, but he's also running, I guarantee you, he's running the board, he's screening the phone calls, right? Because that's how radio is these days. They don't have separate people for any of these jobs.
Yeah, right? Like, it's outsourced.
Yeah. I'm screening the calls on this show, and I'm the host of the show. Like, when I called up the network that we're on the satellite system that we're up on, Westwood One, I called them up and because there was a problem. And he was like, "Aren't you the host of the show?" Because he's expecting like an engineer or somebody else, some other professional, to be calling with technical issues. But no, that's my job too. So
it's a good thing you are technical, though. I mean, you have
this show wouldn't exist.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have gotten that far.
Yeah.
So there you go, 603-283-6160. And I don't know why he's trying to take down radio. Radio is having its own troubles on its own, and
it'll fail without anybody taking it down.
I want it to stay alive. I really do, but they're not doing enough innovative work to actually draw an audience and get young people to actually tune in. That's the thing. There's so much out there that people can listen to now, And it's harder than ever for radio stations to compete. They still think they can rest on their licenses, that their success rests on their licensing.
Nope.
They need to get out of that mindset. 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Licenses are less relevant now than they've ever been.
Yep.
And you know what? That's a good thing. So you can share your thoughts with us here, and you can take control of the airwaves. 603-283-6160. You can bring up what you want on Free Talk Live.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live. The number is 603-283-6160, and that allows you to take control of the airwaves here to bring up what you want. 603-283-6160. Masks required signs are coming down, according to the Houston Chronicle, around Texas and Mississippi as coronavirus restrictions are being lifted. We can talk about that here tonight. We can talk about whatever you want. By the way, tonight it's Ian,
Bonnie,
and Chris.
But we've been talking a little bit of tech. We tend to do that with you on the show here, Chris, because you host your own tech show. It's called Freedom Decrypted. And you can both watch and listen to Freedom Decrypted, or watch or listen, depending on how you want to do it, over at freedomdecrypted.com. It is every Saturday starting at about 5 o'clock Eastern. That is a video show first and foremost, but you do offer it as a podcast downloadable.
There's a
audio.
live video stream. There's not a live audio stream, but there's a live video stream directly streamed from our website. So
very nice.
We're not dependent on YouTube or any of these other centralized platforms that can censor us. So we can pretty much say whatever we want, and
you do
a great show, and I do more or less.
Yeah. So check him out over at freedomdecrypted.com. So speaking of technology, we were talking about earlier how John McAfee was falsely, fraudulently promoting various different cryptocurrencies. So that's one side of the crypto world, is the fraudsters. Another side is the haters, the people who hate cryptocurrency and they want to see it fail, like Tim Bond, a partner and portfolio manager at Odie Asset Management, believes Bitcoin could prevent society from functioning in an efficient and ethical manner. Now this, I gotta hear.
Well, it's because he thinks that society can only function with taxes.
Oh, is that right? See, I haven't even read the story yet.
Well, I just saw one of the headlines that said, like, it's going to prevent the government from being able to collect taxes.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, mine too. But the problem with that thinking is that, like, do you really think that there wouldn't be garbage people picking up your garbage if there wasn't for like taxes and government?
It's ridiculous.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's so ridiculous.
By the way,
because
I got news for you. In Keene, New Hampshire, it's private garbage pickup.
It is. Yeah. It is, and that's the case for a lot of different things. There's probably not a service that governments provide anywhere that somewhere it's not private. And that includes everything from roads and gas and electricity.
Even protection services.
Protection
those are private.
Right, even protection services. Like this idea that
space
it has
launches,
to be centralized is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, and even space launches. Yeah, absolutely. Private too.
Portfolio manager at one of London's, this is by the way marketwatch.com, one of London's leading hedge funds, has warned that Bitcoin, probably the best known cryptocurrency, has no real social utility other than as a tool for speculation and a means to launder the proceeds of crime.
It's not social, it's economics.
What do you mean?
Well, it's this idea that it's some sort of social thing. It's not. It's not for the social good. It's for the economic good. It's for your finances. Financially, you're better off using crypto than you are using other traditional forms of finance like banking and similar.
I don't know if that's what he means by social utility. I think he's not talking about like being friends with people. He's just talking about a thing for society, basically.
Right? But it's not for the benefit of. It's not a social good in the sense that it's not going to, put your kid through school.
It will if you buy some now and hold on to it.
Okay, but
don't put your kids through school. It's a waste of money.
And put them through that.
Give your kid the Bitcoin instead of cashing it out and sending it to the government or to the colleges.
What's funny? It actually can be an educational tool in that
Bitcoin?
in crypto in general, because give your kids some money, let them learn, let them fall hard so that they learn not to do it again. That's one of the best ways to learn. It's not by sending kid to some class somewhere. Because
it's the experience. You got to have the experience.
Yeah, they don't teach that in schools. I mean, they might do the math and everything else, but at the end of the day, the fastest way to learn is to do it.
That's right. Nothing teaches like experience. Absolutely. So Tim Bond, the partner and portfolio manager at Odie Asset Management, also told MarketWatch it was damaging the planet. To my mind, Bitcoin is a particularly vile asset class. He continued to say, if Bitcoin starts to displace fiat currencies, which, for those that don't know, is government-issued money.
Yeah, it already is beginning in some areas to do that.
Government's ability to tax, spend, and redistribute will be severely impaired. And I gotta say, that is the vision. That is why a lot of us signed on in the early days to Bitcoin. That's what Roger Ver saw when a lot of us weren't clear on it.
That's always the thing that's piqued my interest. It's not this investment thing. Like that's a side effect for me.
That's right.
It's the freedom. It's the economic freedom that it brings, and the economic freedom brings prosperity. So
correct, and that is so important, and that's the thing that people really don't understand about this, because the sort of low-level thinking is, oh, Bitcoin number go up, good, get in now, number go up, make money, right? Like that's generally what people are doing with Bitcoin. They don't know hodling, yeah. They don't know anything about it. They don't know what makes it special. They just know that it's in the news, number go up.
Yeah, and I don't, it's kind of interesting. It's like, I don't know, in some sense, it's kind of good that it goes up, but
certainly it's good.
Even if it didn't go up, it still has an amazing value. And I think that value that it has gets overshadowed by the fact that it goes up and it goes down.
That's what I'm saying.
Like it's look,
that's what distracts people.
Right. It's a distraction from the value that cryptocurrency has. And
the value of it is that it takes the power of money, and it's hard to
conceptualize.
It's not hard to conceptualize this. It's hard to express how important it is. That it takes the power of money from the hands of the centrally controlled people, the bankers and the governments. It takes it out of their hands and it puts it into the hands of the individual, of the people.
Yep.
For the first time in lifetimes, that the individual can control their own value. And that is so important, and is something that is so unexpressed about Bitcoin. People don't understand that. And that's ultimately what he's saying. He understands it, and he's afraid of it because he's an asset manager for a hedge fund. Remember, we were talking about GameStop a few weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
The hedge funds were the bad guys in the GameStop situation. These guys are the bad guys. They profit from the failure of businesses and things like that. So he sees the future, if Bitcoins become popular enough, that they will restrict the government's ability to tax, spend, and redistribute. Because if more people start taking their wealth out from the dollar and putting it into things like Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, or gold for that matter, putting your value into other things that you have control over, that changes everything.
Yeah, in New Jersey, there was a gym that obviously you guys talked about on Free Talk Live that had $170,000 taken straight out of their bank, but the government can't do that if your bank is your Bitcoin wallet.
And the crazy thing is, it's not that they can't take it from you, it's that they can't take it from you easily.
Sure. I mean, if you don't give them the keys, then they can't take it from you.
I mean, a hammer is amazing. It's amazing what a hammer can do.
No doubt. I mean, technically, the government's not supposed to do that sort of thing, but
I mean, they do it every day.
It's just not. Give them the keys.
It's just not with a hammer.
If you have a multi-sig wallet, you can hand them your keys, but they still can't get into it.
If you can keep the person, the multiple parties separate from, I guess.
The more parties you have that are separate, the more difficult it would be for somebody with a hammer to do anything about a multi-signature wallet.
Well, what I was saying was the government can just immediately freeze your assets if it's in a regular bank.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the whole easy part, right? It's harder to go after many people if you have to raid every single, house or building. It's a heck of a lot easier to go after 100,000 people if you if you can just send a letter to or an email to effectively the banks for which you want to seize their assets, freeze them, or whatever.
And the banks will comply.
Oh, they do, and they have, and they
have to.
It's actually interesting because they have routinely actually, and even without there being a law, they have frozen the assets of significant numbers of people over the years through just threatening effectively the banks. So to suspend licenses if they don't, do something that's based all around some sort of, very broad order, overbroad order.
We got more coming up. Your calls, thoughts, welcome in the remaining moments of Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. And you can take control here on Free Talk Live. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeen.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeen.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeen.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeen.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeen.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And you can bring up whatever happens to be on your mind. Tonight, in the studio with you, it's Ian.
Bonnie.
And Chris.
All right, so we're going to continue here, and we were talking about this a funds manager who hates Bitcoin. He considers it a vile asset class and says further that if Bitcoin starts to displace fiat currencies, that's government money, that government's ability to tax, spend, and redistribute will be severely impaired. And that warms my heart. That's exactly what I'm looking for, because Bitcoin and cryptocurrency has been one of the key elements towards empowering the individual in the last decade, in the last 15 years. I mean, there's been no other development besides the internet itself in the last 20 or 30 years that has been more important than Bitcoin as far as, and cryptocurrency generally, as far as empowering people. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't think of anything.
We already proved that it did a lot better than Robinhood this year.
Robinhood, the app?
Yeah, because that was supposed to be a big thing for the people, but
that was just marketing.
Yeah, that's marketing.
Proved to be very wrong about that.
Turns out Robinhood is not for the people.
No.
They're a centrally controlled mega corporation with hedge fund investors.
Yeah, whenever you see any kind of like app being promoted, it just screams marketing, right? Like, I don't know about you, but unless it's like there's source code available and a whole bunch of other things and it's decentralized, it's marketing.
If it's the stock market,
fluff.
it ain't going to be decentralized.
Yeah,
right? It's going to be regulated and tightly controlled.
Especially what they're talking about. Yeah.
Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts here. We can talk more about this hate monger asset manager, and he's hating on Bitcoin. But first, I'm going to go to the Max. He's on our line. I don't know if you're there. Can you hear us? To the Max?
I can hear you guys.
We got you.
You guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
you're on
sir.
our Matrix chat server, sounding great. Go ahead. What's on your mind tonight?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody saw, but there was a documentary on McAfee was on Netflix documentary, and they tried to get him, and it really seemed like a hit piece. And he had 4 or 5 of the girls that they had that they're really interviewing throughout the thing. And he said that he'd have wild sex parties and stuff like that. He's admitted to stuff like that, and I mean, as libertarians, there's nothing wrong with that. But the documentary, I don't think gives him a fair shake, because I think he's a brilliant guy. Obviously, he
Well, what were they alleging about him? I mean, we know he's a liar. So, were they saying something else about him?
Well, they claim that they never they asked him, well, what did they pay for? And we can't get into it. Well, we'll dance around it. But they said that he never paid them for sex, but he did pay them to.
Who cares if he
do
did?
Other acts. Well, this documentary was acting like it was some big deal.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh my God, he paid for sex.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be a problem. As long as there was voluntary and everything else, that goes along with that.
Wow.
And it's it might not be my cup of tea, but that doesn't mean it's not somebody else's.
And I had a question. Do you guys think that everything that he's done is a lie, or do you think he's just a con artist, or do you think McAfee? I used to think McAfee, antivirus was good before it got bought out, and then it started bogging down like computer and everything. It started getting real bad, and
good is relative.
I don't know if you guys remember that.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
Chris is going to have a very strong opinion about this, and as he pointed out earlier, he thinks basically the whole virus industry is a scam, right? I mean, is that
it's literally started off as a scam, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And was it ever not a scam? You're going to have a hard time convincing me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I just wanted to just say that because of the documentary, they said that he did some bad, nasty stuff, but never sex. And I just think they buried him, and the documentary didn't show him in any good light. And maybe he doesn't need to be shown in a good light. Maybe he is just a dirtbag that killed somebody.
Who knows? Good questions. Thanks for the call tonight. I do appreciate it, man. Sounded great there on the Matrix chat server, by the way. So check that out. Unfortunately, it's buggy. The Element program's buggy with Android. It doesn't seem like the Jitsi video chat works at all on Android right now. So sorry about that. We've got something else we're working on to do online video and audio calling, but that's not quite ready for prime time. Meanwhile, we go to more of your phone calls. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello.
Hi, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hi, my name's Ryan.
Ryan.
And so I was wondering, I had about 3 questions.
Okay.
Well, 1 comment and then 2 questions.
All right.
The thing about prostitutes, it's a very distinct problem that older people take advantage of younger women, and that seems to be the major problem associated with prostitution.
I mean, is it not the other way around, where younger women are taking advantage of older guys?
Hold on, there's plenty of older prostitutes out there, by the way. I mean, I've not gone shopping around, but I know this because I've known at least one of them.
Well, that's fair enough. And so maybe if we want to actually play this game, I mean, maybe we could have like an age limit of 28 years and you have to register as a prostitute so everyone knows that they're talking to.
Huh?
So you're not ending up in a situation where, because the problem with prostitution is it involves such majorly deep levels of just negative aspects to your life. I mean, these people are not happy people.
How do you know?
Yeah,
Okay,
I know
so
plenty of people who wouldn't consider it negative.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
actually, I
fair
know
enough.
one
Well,
person
okay, well,
that...
agree to disagree, but my major question
Well, no,
is
hold on.
about
It's not just
Bitcoin.
agree to disagree. I mean, we can get into whatever your major question is. There are plenty of professionals in the sex trade who are not doing it through some act of desperation. They're doing it because it's a way they can make a buttload of money. I mean, it is a very, if you're not putting your profits up your nose, it is a very profitable method of making money.
And not only that, just because there are some people who are doing it for the wrong reasons doesn't necessarily mean you should ban it for everybody else who isn't.
That's right.
There are people that make $8 an hour that are extremely happy in this world because they live a normal, clean life. So I'm sorry, but my
so you're
question to
saying
Bitcoin,
prostitution is dirty? Is that what you're saying?
I would say having sex with multiple partners for money and not
enjoying the aspect of caring and love, I guess, or whatever, at least giving a damn about the person you're having sex with. Okay,
It
first of all,
invites a negative aspect that men end up taking advantage of women because men are the alpha kind of situation in the sexual experience.
That's a ridiculous.
I mean, this is ridiculous. Yeah, you can have sex with people and still have a loving, affectionate relationship with a single individual, at the same time.
Well, I'm not going to say. Hold on, I'm not going to say that.
I mean, it's not. It's just an act. It's not.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that there's love involved in a prostitute and a client relationship.
Of course there isn't.
But for him to see, well, he was saying that, but he was also saying that there wasn't caring, and that may not be true. Some of these prostitutes may actually have some sort of concern for some of their clients, repeat clients or whatever.
Why would you think that that's not the case? Like, I would think most people would have
because he thinks these are monsters. He thinks these are horrible human beings who are taking advantage of and
just
being
because
taken
somebody
advantage
is selling you a service doesn't necessarily mean that they want to hurt you or you want to hurt them or like take advantage of them or anything.
I really have questions about Bitcoin.
All right, go ahead.
Too deep into this. Okay, so the Bitcoin, I heard that like 5 people own like half of Bitcoin.
That can't be
true. And then my second question is why can't governments, since we're not even allowed to have like more than $10,000 cash, why can't we evolve to just having Bitcoins and then having much, much less actual hard money to where, because it doesn't really seem to make sense. And then if we actually had governments that could have their own Bitcoin system, it might be a way to kind of evolve.
Okay, so there's a lot packed into that one statement.
I don't even know where to start.
and it's going to be hard. What I would recommend that you do, caller, is to call on another night and call earlier in the show, not the final segment, and then we can talk further about this stuff. I don't even want to start on the Bitcoin thing, but to go back to the prostitution discussion. Yeah, and thank you, by the way, for the call tonight. I do appreciate the questions. But to go back to the prostitution discussion, there are plenty of professionals out there, both men and women, who are prostitutes, and they do a clean job. They use protection. They have themselves tested on a regular basis to make sure that they're not carrying any kind of nasty sexually transmitted diseases and such. And, when you have a legal industry like you do in Nevada, for instance, you actually have some standards. Now, I don't agree that the government should be creating those standards, but nonetheless, the industries would probably do that on their own. But to suggest that men are taking advantage of the prostitutes is ridiculous. It's the prostitutes that set the price.
Yeah, it seems like it's the other way around. I mean, if it wasn't the other way around, I mean, there wouldn't be a price.
The men are desperate.
Right, the men are desperate, absolutely.
Yeah. They're willing to pay for something that, to them, is in short supply.
Absolutely.
And so the ladies hold most, if not all, of the cards.
I wouldn't even consider that the women taking advantage at that point. They're taking advantage of an opportunity, but not taking advantage in a bad way.
It's an agreement.
I
agree.
To
an agreement with a willing client, and it should be legal.
Yeah.
More coming up tomorrow night. We'll see you then. freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening.